Now let's zoom in on the plot to get a better look of what the graph actually looks like. Choose View, Fit to Window to zoom in on the graph. Now let's change the axes so that the x-axis shows dates and the y-axis shows values. Click once on the x-axis to select it, or click on the Object Manager on the x-axis 1 object. Note the various options available for an axis. All of the settings that have to do with the actual label display, such as date-time labels, are a label function. Click once on the Tick Labels tab to edit the labels. Scroll down in the Property Inspector until you get to the Major Label Text section. Check the Use Date-Time Format box to turn on the display of date labels on your axis. Now let's change the format for the date-time labels. Open the Major Label section. Click on the Label Format command where it says, click here to set label format. A label format dialog appears. Click on the Format tab. Change the date-time format to mm/dd/yy. Click OK to make the change. Now let's remove the date-time formatting on the y-axis. These were put here by default due to the original y data values. Click once on the y-axis to select it. The Tick Labels tab is automatically selected since it was the last tab to be opened. So you can simply scroll down and uncheck the Use Date-Time Format box to turn off the display of date-time labels. The axis now shows numbers. Final adjustments that you may wish to make to the graph include additions such as titles, text, legends, or background colors. To explain your graph better, you may choose to add titles to either the axes or the graph. It is obvious from the labels on the x-axis that the x-data information is date. However, the y-axis just appears as numbers. Let's add a title to explain it better. Click once on the y-axis 1 to select it. On the Axis tab, open the Axis Titles section. Click on the Click here to edit text next to the Title command. Type in any text such as sales and click OK. You may also want to add a graph title. In this case, we don't know what is being sold, so a graph title may help explain. Click on the Graph 1 in the Object Manager. In the Property Inspector, open the Title tab. Click on the Click here to edit text next to Title. Type in any text such as sales of online books. Click OK to make the graph title appear. Adding legends sometimes explains how individual curves differ. Choose Graph, Add to Graph, Legend. A new legend is added. Since the legend is selected, we can change properties for it. For instance, maybe the length of the lines in the legend are too long. Change the line length to a smaller value, such as 0.60 inches. Maybe we don't want the line scatter plot 1 to show since the fit curve is the curve that we're actually displaying. Click on the Entries command where it says, click here to edit entries. Select line scatter plot 1 and click the Delete button. Another item we may wish to change in the Legend Entries dialog is the names of the curves. Click on the Fit 1 Running Average and press the Rename button. Type in Sue and Darren and click OK. Click on the Line Scatter Plot 2 and press the Rename button. Type in Sue and click OK in both dialogues. You may also wish to add color fill or a background shadow to your legend. You can add the color fill by clicking on the Fill tab and changing the foreground color. I will change the legend to have a white background. You can add a shadow behind the legend by clicking on the Legend tab and checking the Display Shadow box. One final enhancement that makes your graph presentation ready is to add a background fill behind the graph. You can do this by drawing a filled object and moving it behind the graph. First, choose View, Page, so that the entire page is displayed. Now choose Draw, Rectangle. Click on the screen and hold down the left mouse button. Drag the mouse to the other side of the graph and release the mouse button. Click once on the Rectangle 1 object in the Object Manager. Choose Arrange, Move to Back to move the rectangle object behind the graph object. Finally, in the Property Inspector, click on the Fill tab. Change the foreground to the desired color for a nice background, such as this light yellow color. You can choose View, Fit to Window to zoom back in on the objects. I'm now going to close this graph or file so that I can prepare for my next demonstration. Choose File, Close to close your file. I'm going to click No when prompted to save the changes to the graph. You can continue watching the training videos, or you can begin working in the Graph4 program. An excellent place to start is the tutorial. To access the tutorial, open Graph4 and choose Help, Tutorial.